An exciting musical event is coming up at McCarter, one of the country's flagship theaters, on October 4th. The Bobby Sanabria Multiverse Big Band West Side Story Reimagined. West Side Story was composed by the late great composer Leonard Bernstein. And joining us today to talk about the show is Paula Abreu, McCarter Theater Center's Director of Special Programming. Paula, great to see you again.
Great to see you too, Nick. Thank you for having me.
Leonard Bernstein's daughter, author, director, and filmmaker Jamie Bernstein. Honored to have you join us today, Jamie.
I'm the honored one to be here.
And multi-Grammy nominated drummer, composer, arranger, host of the Latin Jazz Cruise on WBGO, and proudly Bronx-born Bobby Sanabria. Bobby, always great to talk to you.
Same here, Douglas. Thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts. All right.
Absolutely. The Grammy nominated double CD West Side Story Reimagined, which won the prestigious Jazz Journalists Association Album of the Year award. It also, as I mentioned, nominated for a Grammy, infuses Leonard Bernstein's score with Afro-Caribbean grooves, Puerto Rican bomba and plena, and the fierce swing of New York jazz. With the full support of the Leonard Bernstein estate, this production transforms each note into a powerful call for resilience, cultural pride, and unity. And Jamie, let's start with you first. You've been quoted to say what you love about Bobby's take on this is his rhythm fission exploding to an even richer rhythmic level. You used the word explosion a few times when I've heard you talk about this production. Tell us more.
Well, West Side Story is already so exciting rhythmically and melodically, and my dad was so besotted with those Caribbean rhythms. He just couldn't get enough of them. And he also was equally besotted with jazz. And at the moment he was writing West Side Story, he was really in love with bebop jazz. And so he wound up braiding together these various genres of music that neither of which you would expect in a Broadway pit, and created this score that didn't sound like anything that ever came before, and some things have sounded a little like it later, but really not quite the same. And so when it came to the all this Latin Caribbean music, he just couldn't use enough of those dance rhythms that he discovered very early in his life when he was in Key West, Florida, and heard the Havana radio station coming right over the water and into his radio in Key West. And so that was the beginning of the love affair for him. And he took it very far from that early starting point.
Now, I know, Bobby, that you must be so proud of the fact that Jamie has said, I wish my dad was still around to hear this version of West Side Story. What a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, it was the you mentioned the album. It's a double CD and it has a 16-page booklet. It's really a commemorative work because it celebrated not only when we recorded it my 60th birthday, but also the 60th anniversary of the show. So for Jamie to be there at the session, because we recorded this live at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola, so it's a testimony to the musicianship of the members of my orchestra. And Jamie was actually there. Our very own Janice Siegel had called me up before. Janice has a show on Saturdays and Sundays with Leslie Harrison here on WBGO that everybody should check out, Singers Unlimited. And she said, I have a surprise for you. I'm coming to the last show. And it was Jamie. And she was beside herself after, and I was beside myself meeting
I
her.
was the surprise.
Yeah, it was just amazing to meet her. And after the last note of the performance that night, so it's not only great for me, but I'm very happy for my musicians. I'm very proud of the members of my orchestra. They represent the best of the best in New York City. That means they're the best musicians in the world. So to get a compliment from Jamie like that, and I must say, Jamie said there hasn't been really there wasn't anything like West Side Story before, and there really hasn't been anything afterwards. It not only combines jazz and, of course, the aforementioned Latin music elements, but it's also lyric opera. It's also has elements of vaudeville, uh, and it has elements of orchestral music and chamber ensemble music. So, as we would say in the Bronx, it's all that in a bag of chips. And the way we have reinterpreted it uh, is a testimony to the greatness of Maestro Bernstein, but also the creative sparks of the arrangers that I used that included myself on the project. And what's great about this project also is that at the same time that we're performing the music, over 1,000 photographs from the legendary Seis del Sur photography collective are going to be projected behind us simultaneously while the orchestra performs.
Paula Abreu, this is another testament to you bringing in this special type of programming to McCarter. It's your specialty. I know you're excited about this event.
Yes, I couldn't be more excited. I think it speaks volumes to what McCarter is and is supposed to be. We are a unique space where theater gets produced, right? And we have music performance across the year. And this project, I think, marries both in such a beautiful way. It hasn't been performed live that many times. I'm so proud to bring it to McCarter. I think our audiences who follow theater and audiences who follow jazz and the music programs will both love it. It's such a special treat to have it here.
One of the wonderful things about West Side Story, and of course we had the movie not that long ago, right? The movie version again of it, the remake, is that the story is timeless, Jamie. So you put great music to a wonderful story that really, love and all things that go with it, and two families that are trying to get along together or don't get along. It's a timeless story that could really run at any point, and we're so glad that Bobby has given it even more life.
Yeah, well, it's based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and that story of love trying to rise above hatred and intolerance is unfortunately a theme that never seems to go out of date. And so West Side Story still feels as urgent and fresh as it did on the day it hit Broadway. These topics are in our faces as never before. Well, as always before. And on we go. So yeah.
Bobby, I would imagine that as you went through this process, you already talked about how Maestro Bernstein was brilliant. But I imagine the appreciation for his work continues to grow as you went through this process and added new rhythms and new sounds to his work.
Well, the one thing that was very profound for me because I went to the library at Lincoln Center and pulled out some of the scores and started analyzing the music from strictly an analytical point of view. And I came to the conclusion that this man is truly America's greatest composer. And of course, some would argue Duke Ellington, others would say even somebody that's akin and close to my heart, like Maestro Tito Puente, who Maestro Bernstein knew. They spoke frequently, according to what Maestro Puente told me. Uh, and others, uh, I could put Frank Zappa in there, Don Ellis, etc. But really, Maestro Bernstein captures the ethos of what the American experience is. And he couldn't have done it without the life that he led and his own cultural background. A lot of people don't realize that just like Beethoven based his Fifth Symphony on that little short fragment, bum 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 bum, well, Maestro Bernstein bases the whole entire score on three notes. The opening whistle that everybody's familiar with, that opens up the Broadway musical, and of course the requiem.
Ba-dum.
There you go. There you go. And it's just amazing from those three notes, which actually are inspired by the Jewish ram's horn known as the shofar. Those are the three notes that are played in ancient times to announce a war that's coming, a conflict that's coming. So just pure utter genius. And what can I say? We're the beneficiaries of all of that.
Jamie, there's been movies made about your dad. There's books and everything. What do you think was inside Leonard Bernstein that made him such a prolific composer? What do you know from family history that was the seed for him?
That's a very big question. And it's something I've pondered a lot. But I think that he had an inner struggle all his life, and the struggle itself was the engine that drove him to create, because in creating his works, he was trying to resolve the struggle. And the struggle is really an argument with his spiritual creator. He sort of spent his life shaking his fist at the heavens and saying, if you're up there taking care of us, why are we all so horrible to each other down here? And, why do you let all these calamities happen to us? Are you minding the store or what? And so you can hear in this argument that my father was having with his creator, or really himself, about, were we getting better or weren't we as a human race? And when terrible things happened in the world, as they did a lot in his lifetime, he lived through the Depression and World War II and the atom bomb and the civil rights problems in the US, and then the Vietnam War, and on and on and on it went. And so he was in despair about the state of humanity. And you can hear him trying to resolve this conflict in so much of his music. And it's totally in West Side Story, which is essentially asking the same question, reinterpreting Shakespeare's question, which was, is love going to triumph over hate, or isn't it? And at the end of Romeo and Juliet, we're not sure. And at the end of West Side Story, we're not sure. And the very last notes of West Side Story are the song Somewhere. And you hear the notes. It's not sung at that point, but the instrumental notes are yada somewhere. And this is a beautiful C major chord underneath. But underneath the C major chord is a very dissonant F sharp. Somewhere. And that's the first three notes of the show that Bobby was just talking about. It's that F sharp that pulls the rug out from under the major chord and makes you ask yourself, are we getting better or aren't we?
Mm. Paula, do you remember the first time you ever heard or saw West Side Story?
I don't remember when was the first time, but I mean, I was still in Brazil, I think. I moved to the US about 15 years ago. And of course, like as an immigrant, as a Brazilian, I connected with the story with New York, right? Like this aspirational dream. Um, and I just wanted to mention, like hearing both Bobby and Jamie talk about this, we're gonna have a post-show conversation between the two of them. There's so much depth and so much history there that I'm so excited to continue this conversation live on stage, and people shouldn't miss it. But yeah, but going back to as an immigrant and a Brazilian and having this dream of New York, of course, West Side Story is such an iconic um movie and story that I think is globally recognized, and I feel blessed to be able to present it in this format.
And Paula being from Brazil, in this new version of the score, there are some moments where there's some Brazilian music, have Brazilian rhythms, bossa nova and samba, in certain parts of the show. Rhythmically, the show, what I did was New York City is a lot different than 1957 when West Side Story premiered on Broadway, and that was the year of my birth as well. The major groups were African Americans, Irish, Italian, and Puerto Ricans and Jewish people in New York City. But now we have a plethora of people from different parts of the Caribbean, from Haiti, from the Dominican Republic, from Cuba, obviously. We have people from Colombia, Ecuador, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on and on. We have people that are immigrants from Africa, and we have a new wave of immigrants from Ireland. So all of those things are reflected in this new score rhythmically. So it's gonna be a veritable treat for everyone. As Jamie said, there's so much energy in West Side Story to begin with because one of the things about the score is it has all this incredible kinetic energy in it. Well, we've ramped it up even more with all of the new rhythms that we've added to it. That I'm sure that's why Jamie said, my father, I wish he would have been alive to see this and hear this because he would have loved it with all the new rhythms that you've added to it, that I've added through the new reimagining of it.
I'm positive my father would love West Side Story Reimagined, the way Bobby has reimagined it with his amazing musicians.
Bobby, I'm curious, as you mentioned, this was recorded live. As you're going through it that night, you could feel the magic, obviously, but did you know that it would have the impact on people that it has? Not only the awards are always something great, Grammy nominated, Jazz Journalist Album of the Year, and things like that. But did you know that this was going to have so much recognition? Could you feel it that night?
Well, I mean, when you're in the midst of I wear a lot of hats when I'm in my position as a band leader. Not only that, I have to be a psychiatrist and a psychologist sometimes, and all the ad hoc work that goes into getting all of this together, editing the scores, making sure the musicians are on time, going over certain passages of the music beforehand that are extremely difficult to make sure that they are performed as they are on the written page, but adding our human soul uh, to it. But when we had done the piece over a 3 night engagement at Dizzy's. By the third night, which is the night that we recorded, I knew that it was going to be something that was very, very profound and special. It's profound to begin with. So, and me being of Puerto Rican descent and from New York City and from the Bronx and all that, I mean, and just from my cultural background, I had a lot of responsibility put on me because I'm representing the people that are depicted in the musical, in the original musical, and then the subsequent movies that have been made of it. So, but yeah, I was very up to the challenge and very, very, as you say, in the moment. So afterwards, and then meeting Jamie afterwards, etc. It didn't hit me until uh, the next day when all that adrenaline finally was drained from me, and I believe I think I slept for about basically 2 days
Wow.
after all of that because the preparation, et cetera, the anticipation, and you're hoping that the musicians will, respond, and they did. And I must say, I have to mention one person of the orchestra that is no longer with us, unfortunately, the lead trumpet player who played on West Side Story Reimagined and was my lead trumpet player for so many years, Kevin Bryan. He passed away about a year later. Uh, he contracted cancer, and I was I remember right after we finished playing and I was introducing everybody, I heard the guys in the band whispering, especially in the trumpet section, going, "My God, it's amazing! This guy did not crack or miss one note throughout the whole show." So if anything, I always think of Kevin when we
Mm.
perform this. And as Paolo said, it has not been performed many, many times. We've performed it at the Kennedy Center. We've performed it at Ravinia. We've performed it at Lincoln Center for over 10,000 people in this format with the photos being projected behind us. So it's going to be a treat for everybody that comes to the show. You get to meet me and Jamie afterwards and get to talk to us and as we say, break bread. So what could be better? What could be a better? And as Jamie said, this show is timeless. And to me, it's ironic that we're still dealing with the same things that Shakespeare tackled centuries ago. How do we fight this human capacity, the irony of being of the human existence, the capacity that we have to love, but the also incredible capacity that we have to hate because of ignorance and fear. And that's more than timely now.
As you listen to Bobby right now, or if you're watching this here in the video, Bobby's laid back right now. That's not what you're going to see when Bobby's on stage. The word that Jamie used was explode. Yeah, the once the music starts, forget it. He goes into another stratosphere.
Yeah, well, no,
And
but I have the most responsibility because I'm conducting this show, but I'm also at the vortex of it because I'm playing drums at the same time. So everything that we in jazz we call they used to call the drummer uh the drums the engine room. So I'm in the engine room manning the controls of not the Starship Enterprise, the Starship Multiverse big band. So it'll be a visual extravaganza for everyone as well.
Paul, I would imagine tickets are going to go fast for this. So how can people get the tickets? And when you decided that you wanted this, I'm sure this was an easy choice for you this time. But maybe tell us a little bit how that process is done.
This event will be part of Hispanic Heritage Month here in McCarter. This is the first event opening the series. We're very excited. We expect tickets to go fast, so people should go to our website. We just launched a new campaign. It's 35, anyone who's 35 years old or younger can get tickets at $35 here in McCarter. So if you go to our website, there's a page that describes this offer. And this show and the other Hispanic Heritage Month shows are available for this. So I recommend people go to our website. And I'm very proud to have this in the lineup, opening the series and basically opening the fall with a few other shows. It's such a big statement for us. I agree with both Bobby and Jamie and you, Doug. It's a timely performance and project to have on stage right now, and is a testament to McCarter's vision and values as well. In addition to this show, we have two other Hispanic Heritage Month shows, if you don't mind me mentioning them, because I think they're also very relevant. Aida Cuevas, the singer from Mexico, the queen of ranchera music, as she's known, she's celebrating a 50th anniversary tour. And so she'll perform here and a few other venues in the US. And again, I think it's very timely to have her celebrating Mexican culture. She's such a powerful and emotive voice. And I think I hope the audience will come out and help celebrate this moment that, there's so many questions out there. I think it's a moment to be proud and celebrate the different cultures that we have around Hispanic Heritage Month. And the other show is a tribute to Celia Cruz, which we're very proud to do as well, with Xiomara Laugat and Axel Tosca. We'll have Tito Puente Jr. as a special guest. Will be another explosion, I think, in celebratory way, different than the multiverse with Bobby. But I don't think there's a way that people will stay in their seats for that one with Celia's music. And again, a very special show. The band that is performing came out of the off-Broadway show Celia. And it's very special with musical direction by Axel Tosca. We're going to have a salsa party before that show as well on our lobbies. We're celebrating different cultures within this lineup of Hispanic Heritage Month. This is the second year at McCarter that we are bringing a lineup celebrating this month. And again, we have all the shows are on our website, and we hope people will come out.
Axel actually, he's a fantastic young pianist. He was actually my student at the
Oh, I
new
didn't know
school.
that.
in the jazz program. Yes, he was the pianist for the Afro-Cuban Jazz Orchestra that I teach there. And Xiomara's a fantastic, fantastic singer in the tradition, and of course with her own voice. And I must take this time out to thank publicly Joe Steinheimer, who was the person at Lincoln Center who got us there to perform West Side Story Reimagined outdoors to a fabulous 10,000 plus crowd. And who, I always say the relationships you make, I tell my students that all the time, will bear much fruit. And Jill, out of the blue, just called me up. I've been dying for you to perform West Side Story Reimagined. And there's an opportunity. Are you free on this date? And so I have to thank her publicly for that. So thank you, Jill.
Jamie, I want to give you the last word on this. You lost your dad in 1990. That's a long time ago. But somebody from Puerto Rico, somebody from Brazil, somebody comes up from you that has never heard of Leonard Bernstein, and they say, tell me a little bit about your dad. How would you encapsulate his life in just a few words?
It's very hard to do because he did so many different things. But my brother and sister and I had a chance to ponder this question very carefully during his centennial, which was in 2018. And we really had to figure out a way to explain who he was in a consolidated way. And we came up with, we called them the four pillars. And the four main things that Leonard Bernstein was were a composer, a conductor, an educator, and above all, or encompassing all the rest, a humanitarian or activist. He always used his music making in every way he could to try and make the world a better place. It's all part of that conflict that I was talking about earlier, where he wrestled with the question of whether the human race was getting better or not. And he did everything he could as a human being and a musician to try and, put the weight on the positive side of that equation.
Hmm. You did a great
And he was
job
a
with
hell
that,
of a
Jane.
pianist, too.
Yeah, he was a hell of a pianist. And you know what else he was? Hilarious. And I think that's the thing people know least about Leonard Bernstein is how funny he was and how he loved a good joke and a good movie. And so there was so much laughter around our dinner table and in our living rooms. And, there was this love of laughter. And that was a very important part of who he was, despite all his despair and frustrations.
What a great trait to have. Humor to me is the best. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us.
You're so welcome.
Bobby
Thank you.
Sanabria, as always, a tremendous piece of work, and people can't wait to hear it again. Congrats on this work and continued success.
Thank you, Doug.
Paula, it's always a thrill to talk to you too. You bring such energy and life to McCarter, and Bobby and I know you're just a wonderful person. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you all. It's such an honor to be here surrounded by you.
So once again, it comes up. It is October 4th at McCarter. It will be a wonderful event. The Bobby Sanabria Multiverse Big Band, West Side Story, Reimagined, composed by Leonard Bernstein, and then Bobby takes it to a whole new level. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You won't want to miss this one.